Is it really Monday morning already?
Especially after Thanksgiving. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
We're all a little plumper.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Good morning good morning to Denver. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Are we going to war with Venezuela? What is going... Dude, the headlines over the weekend were wild about this. One that Trump gave Maduro an ultimatum, flee Venezuela as land operations loom. Wait, what? That they had a phone call? He wouldn't divulge what was really happened during that phone call, but reports saying he gave him an ultimatum. Then now, CNN, just 13 minutes ago, Trump to hold Venezuela Oval Office meeting. Is this just the art of the deal? And what was with that Honduran former president pardon? What's happening in Latin America right now? Is this a big shakeup that's taking place as Trump confronts the leftist communist impact in that region? We'll talk about this. And do you approve of what he's doing down there with these boats targeting these narco terrorists, bringing the drugs up? Or is it a war crime, as some of the left are claiming? We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capelos Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for news and comment. Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Monday morning, 18 and sunny in Denver. Welcome back. Expecting a high of 41 today with sunshine. That's the key. It may be 41, but it's going to feel like 50. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story before we get to everyone within trying to destroy us. Let's go to D.C. For a little football game. Sunday Night Football, the Broncos in D.C., overtime, and they were trying to win their 9th straight game. Broncos led by 1. The Commanders go for 2 and the victory.
Washington for the win. Mariota has it rejected by Benito, and Denver has won 9 in a row.
That was huge. Benito, 27-26 in OT. And here is how the Broncos took the lead in the extra period.
He's got it left side and into the end zone for the touchdown. They want to get there. They go left. R.J. Harvey.
And Harvey scores, and the Broncos are in business. Bo Nix, 29 of 45, 321 yards, 1 touchdown, an incredible touchdown pass right before his knee hits the turf. He lets it fly and had 1 interception, but the victory.
You just got to keep moving on, and you got to have a belief that you're just going to find a way. And, didn't look great there for a minute, but we just found a way to make the next best play. And, at the end of the day, score 1 more point than they did.
Amen. They return home this morning, back to work Wednesday for this Sunday. The Broncos and the Raiders as they go for 10 straight. And if you were wondering, Shadur Sanders throws a touchdown, 149 yards, but the Browns lose to the Niners. They did suffer a costly fumble in that one. Denver City Council set to vote on a new management contract for the Aspen Shelter. They'll vote today on a $30 million contract with San Francisco-based nonprofit Urban Alchemy.
Trauma informed. We're talking about really practicing the principles, empowering people, collaborating, providing choice, meeting people where they're at, but not leaving them where they're at.
Louis Hammonds with the nonprofit says they want to come to Denver, well, because of the 30 mil. No, because its leaders believe they are experts in tackling all the challenges that the shelter faces because it's worked so well in San Francisco. Have you ever been to San Francisco? The shelter has been run by the Salvation Army, but that organization is stepping away at the end of the year. The council will also vote on a separate $3 million contract to have the nonprofit provide community ambassadors in different parts of the city. Both contracts would last through 2028. Sounds like a great use of taxpayer money, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah. Is the homeless population's worse? So you spend all this money and it's worse.
Yes.
Like that's what.
Yes.
That's what drives me crazy about government and socialist regimes is you end up in this doom loop where the problems are caused by the government. I think the reason we have such unaffordable housing is because of government regulations. I saw the other day, and I'm thinking of making a video about this, but Jared Pullis put out a video. We now have a website to help you navigate all the complexities out there to build a home. Did you see that?
Yes.
So the government creates all these problems to build a home, and then nobody builds homes, and then they're like, well, the solution is a website to help you navigate all the complexities of building a home. I remember hearing from one guy that he used to be able to go get a building permit in Denver in one day. It now takes over a year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? So
nightmare.
They create these problems, and then they
bureaucracy.
go, we have the solution.
Yeah.
Blake Olson.
Yes.
We need more of your tax dollars to build our own affordable housing. And then the money just disappears.
Right.
Nobody ever knows where it goes. They can't track for any of it. And I'm
goes
just sitting
to people from San Francisco.
Gosh. Yes, exactly. And and so
burns me up.
With regards to homelessness, they've helped create it.
Yes.
Then they tax you to try to solve it. It gets worse, and the solution is we need more of your tax dollars.
Right. Big business. What a great business, right? Just take care of the homeless. Try to figure out the homeless problem, and we just need $30 million to do it of your money. And it continues and it grows.
Yes.
And I mean, if you step back and look at it, what a business model, right?
Well, you have some state senators that are making some really good money off of these nonprofits right now. So they get paid by the state to be a legislator, and then the state funds, I'm not kidding you, they're nonprofits where they collect a salary well over $100,000 there.
Exactly. A nonprofit. If you're running a nonprofit, shouldn't you act like you're running a nonprofit?
Right.
I mean, I get it. You have to have food and shelter and pay the bills, whatever, but geez, unbelievable. I mean, why would you want anything to change? Why would you want the Why would you want the homeless problem to
incentive?
End?
No incentive.
No
right?
incentive.
Because the
no
dollars are going to dry up.
Yep. Absolutely.
We figured it out, man.
No doubt.
Now we just got to get the voters to understand that.
Right. Exactly. Good luck with all that. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff on a plane to Moscow.
Witkoff is traveling to Russia just a day after he, along with several other top U.S. officials, held talks with the Ukrainian delegation in Florida. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the meeting a very productive and useful session, adding so much work remains.
Luigi Mangione in a New York courtroom today for a pretrial hearing. He murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last December. Defense attorneys for Mangione are trying to get evidence thrown out of trial related to Mangione's arrest in Altoona, PA last December. The dude murdered someone in cold blood, and they have video of it.
He's my hero.
Oh, guys, so attractive.
I've run into these people down at the Bernie Sanders rally.
I remember that.
You remember the little shirt?
Oh, yeah. That was the first one I heard was your video. I was like, are you kidding me? Wow.
That's
sickening,
when you put people into oppressor versus oppressed worldviews, right? When you buy into that Marxist worldview, you green light the oppressed to do whatever they want against the oppressor. And in this case, the oppressed shot the healthcare oppressor. Good for him.
And then it gets worse. Financial stress and the death of an Afghan commander may be related to the motive of the suspect in the deadly National Guard shooting in D.C. ABC News reports he worked with the commander and his death hit the suspect hard. Okay. Doesn't mean you go out and murder an innocent patriot and shoot another. Shouldn't be here. And most are programmed to hate the West and taught to conquer free societies in the West. Most will not assimilate if they follow the Quran. If you actually follow the Quran, they will not assimilate. They'll try to destroy us. See the UK and Western Europe and St. Paul and Dearborn, Michigan. Wow. Excuses. 14 in Lakewood, 16 in Englewood, 18 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill, and the show continues. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Sunny to partly sunny and cold. Daytime temperature readings will be climbing into the middle to upper 30s today. Lows to 19s and 20s. Increasingly cloudy Tuesday. Highs making the 40s. There's another wave coming in, and Tuesday night, a chance of light snow developing. Lows in the low to mid-20s. Scattered areas of light snow on Wednesday and cold highs lower 30s. Not expecting a lot of snow, but a little bit Tuesday night into Wednesday. Teens Wednesday night, partly cloudy, cold, mid to upper 30s Thursday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Trump administration has carried out 21 known strikes against vessels suspected of drug trafficking in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific Oceans. They've destroyed a total of 22 boats, resulted in at least 83 deaths. This is combined with a very strong approach towards Venezuela. Trump saying that Maduro has to flee Venezuela, or land operations may begin. This is wild. And then you combine that with the pardon of the former president of Honduras. What is happening in Latin America? It seems a lot more complicated to me than just drugs, than a few presidents. I went and looked this up. There's the breakdown of Latin and South America. You have 13 capitalist countries, you have 1 communist country, and you have 9 socialist countries. From my read of the situation, I think Trump is taking an aggressive effort to push back on what would be Chinese and Russian influences in Latin and South America against some of the socialist regimes down there. It is combined with direct problems that we faced here in the United States with regards to immigration and drugs. And he is seeking to expand American influence in Latin and South America in ways we haven't seen maybe ever. That seems to be the larger motivation that's taking place. But there's a lot of smaller conversations around this. Are the targets of the drug boats warranted? Could you have land operations in Venezuela, or is this just Trump posturing? Bill, what do you think?
I think this is a lot of posturing by Trump, and I think this is weird. It's a weird split on his foreign policy for me. That, again, it was about during the election, we aren't going out there and doing expansionist wars. We need to pull our troops home, pull up the drawbridges, America first. He talked very isolationist. In fact, that's what his tariffs are doing. But now we're going to have an expansionist war to bring greater what? American influence, or could I even say democracy? Down to Venezuela, if you're so concerned about all those countries that are socialist. And the other part is I had heard during the run-up in the election about how strong Trump was, and that's why we didn't have any wars. And now he seems to be rattling the saber as if we need to invade another country. In fact, he over the weekend announced that he closed down Venezuela's airspace. That's not possible. He doesn't have the ability to do that unless he is an invading country. The American president does not have influence over the Venezuelan or the Mexico or Chilean or Russian or Chinese or Japanese or Australian airspace. That's nothing that the president can declare open or closed. That's not that. But if you're going to close down the airspace of another country, that normally is part of an invasion. So that's where I can't figure this out. This is where I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this, is how come the America First president, the no war president, is now rattling a saber as if we need a land war, his words, not mine, inside of Venezuela. How does this make any sense for MAGA and his supporters?
I could see the America First argument in the sense that Venezuela has been a direct problem to America via its immigration, the Tren de Aragua, the illegal gangs that came up here, the drug trafficking that's taking place, the direct harm to Americans, plus the access to oil reserves. So in those three cases, immigration, drugs, oil, it's in America's best interest to have much more friendly leadership in those countries. That's how I think they probably rationalize it being an America First agenda to confront these. Let's go to the phone lines. Frank in Evergreen. Good morning, Frank. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
First, don't shop at, don't buy your gas at Valero. It's owned by Venezuela. And I couldn't be happier with what Trump has been doing. And let's give him credit where credit's due. First thing he did when he came into office was booted the Chinese out of the Panama Canal. And now he's moving on to do other very correct things that should have been done over the last 50 years, but we haven't had a decent president since Reagan. And all we've had is presidents who want to go to war, like Bush Jr., and didn't really think through it. He screwed up that whole situation. I think if Trump had been president, we probably never would have gone into Iraq. We might have done Afghanistan, but and by the way, he didn't shut down the airspace. Billy, you're right. He doesn't have the power to do that, but he did put warnings out that there are activities going on down there that you probably want to be aware of. Also,
but hang on, Frank, hang on. Frank, hang on a second. Frank, be accurate. What did he say? He didn't say we're concerned about activities and things. He declared the airspace closed. You're correct. He can't do that. But that was his statement. That was his direct statement.
Then I'll agree with you again, Billy, that you said it was posturing, and that's what it is. That he's the master of posturing, in case you haven't noticed. And my guess is the CIA is already in there on the ground, and we don't need to put, those technically aren't troops, but they're Americans. They're Americans, intelligence operatives. And finally, in my lifetime, I'm seeing him do things that benefit America. Shut down Venezuela. If I was Maduro, I'd be packing my bags right now. The other thing about...
Wait, Frank, I got a question for you. If you were Maduro, you'd be packing your bags. Why? Why would you? I'm curious about that statement.
Because Trump, when he says something, he does it.
Unlike hang on. So Frank, hang on. So you think Trump is going to do what?
Well, I think I doubt he's going to put American troops on the ground.
Regime change.
CIA's probably in there already. The regime is 70% of the voters voted against the regime, so this is not a huge. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. What shouldn't be a surprise? I'm sorry. Again, you seem to be drawing conclusions. What I'm curious about is, are you saying that we should expect, and when we're voting for Trump and everything else, we should expect that he wants to invade
Venezuela. Now, I understand the idea that you're saying, oh, no, well, we're not going to put troops on, etc. Well, then if they're not going to put troops down, then what's the actual threat per se? I would hearken to say that Maduro can be the subject of all sorts of assassination attempts by all sorts of other countries that can and possibly include the U.S. We have one leader of Russia who seems to be very, very good at assassinating his political enemies, both internally and externally. So, again, not necessarily untoward, I understand that, but just the threat of the CIA wanting to bring down, I'm not certain that's enough if I'm Maduro to flee the country. So are you talking about, you think that we need to put boots on the ground? Because Trump has said, that's kind of the implication, that maybe we need to put troops in the ground. How far are you on this?
Well, like I said, I agree with you, Billy. It's posturing. I doubt he'll put troops on the ground, even though CIA technically are, I guess you call them troops. I don't know. The thing is, we don't need troops. Did you see how fast the things changed in the Middle East when he started taking out some of the I forget the name of the country now. When he started, when they were shooting at our ships and international ships, actually,
Yemen,
international waters.
Yemen.
I would say the Israeli. But I would say the Israeli actions changed how that chessboard looked a hell of a lot more than Trump firing at the Houthis in Yemen.
It takes a team, Billy. It takes a team.
But Frank, hang on, Frank. But it was the Israeli actions that changed that more than Trump's actions. It wasn't necessarily U.S.
Okay, so Israelis get 51, Trump gets 49. Okay,
No, I
Billy,
disagree with that. No, Frank, I disagree with that. But keep going. I disagree with how you're assigning that blame. You want to give Trump a lot more credit than what I see on that time. Frank, you started with the idea that Trump changed over the entire Middle East. No, he didn't. I mean, that had a lot more to do with that had a lot more to do with Netanyahu changing. That had a lot more to do with Netanyahu changing the game in the Middle East than I think Trump did. But continue.
Really? Saudi Arabia?
He stopped.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Stopped Yemen from bombing our ships. That was the objective of that mission. He started tossing cruise missiles in there and various other things until they stopped and said, "Okay, no mas." And the same thing could happen in Venezuela, and it wouldn't require troops on the ground. Did we put any troops in Yemen? No, we didn't. So here's the thing.
You want to
hang on.
You want to lob missiles? Wait, so Frank, you think we should lob missiles into Venezuela? Which again, technically would be an act of war, technically. So you're okay with that?
Well, they have declared war on us, and every president since Reagan has just let them do whatever the hell they want to do.
That's not my question, Frank.
Finally,
not my question,
we have
Frank.
A president.
Frank, answer my question, please. Are you okay with Trump sending missiles into Venezuela, which would be an act of war?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. All right, you want to go to war? That's fine. Go right ahead.
That's not an act of war, Billy. It's an act of protecting our citizens, is what the president's job is.
So if another country sent a cruise missile into the U.S. and said, "No, we're just protecting our citizens," you wouldn't view that as an act of war.
Of course it's an act of war. I'm not sure why you have to
said, hang on, you just said it wasn't, now you said it was. Okay, fine. So we're 180 degrees depending on who's doing it.
Billy,
go ahead. Continue your strange example. I will let you just run afield since obviously you're not going to hold the logic at any point in this. So go ahead. Please continue.
Billy, I want to, first of all, I want to thank you because, I am stressed today, and I thank you very much for giving me permission to kill somebody because I'm stressed. Here's the thing, is that you keep on, manipulating what I say, and I'm not going to.
I'm using your words, Frank. I'm using your direct words. Sorry,
aren't.
That hurts.
No, you aren't. And I said Venezuela declared war on us, okay, and they've been killing our citizens ever since that started.
Can you point me to where Venezuela declared that war on us? When did they declare that act of war? Or are you just saying that their actions are what you say is war?
Their actions are war.
And what actions are those?
When Hitler went into Poland, there wasn't a formal declaration of war. He just went in and took it.
Yeah, but that's an invasion of another country. So is Venezuela invading us?
Well, they're attacking our citizens or killing our citizens.
In what way?
Okay?
Where? Where's the military?
Okay
what is it? The military is here attacking our citizens and killing our citizens? The Venezuelan soldiers are doing this?
Who's doing this? Maduro is a drug lord, right? He's not even the president.
Who's doing
Maduro is a drug lord. Are you not aware of that, or?
Again, I'm asking you who's attacking. So you're saying that Maduro is sending gang members or some sort of drug people here to kill our citizens in some sort of organized military type of an action?
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's why the Chinese and the Mexicans are interested in this as well, is because it results in money and the death of Americans.
But somehow we've connected it to Maduro. I just, again,
Really,
fine.
maybe you need to talk to some of these people who lost their children and ask them what they think. Because we have lost a lot of people to the drug wars, and they call them wars for a reason, because they are a war. And
yeah, Frank. But
finally,
again, Frank, you were around. Frank,
30,
you were
40,
around in the '80s when they started the war on drugs. Just like you had a war on poverty, war on homelessness. You can't have war on an idea.
feckless.
That's just silly. That's just. I mean, again, it's just silly.
Useless, feckless Republicans and
It's silly.
Democrats not able to do anything. Finally, we have a president who can and will and does. And my guess is that, if Maduro doesn't act pretty quickly, he's going to be taken out. And he has an option to take him and his family to Russia, wherever they want to go, and and get out of there and get the rightfully elected president back in there and turn Venezuela back into a democracy like it was.
It was once a great country.
Regime change from Frank. He wants us to have regime change, get rid of the guy in charge, and that's worked out so well. Good job. Eventually we got there, Frank. Eventually we got there. But yeah, that's the whole thing. This is just another neocon idea to bring democracy around the world and all the other failed ideas. Good job.
How does the United States respond then to Chinese and Russian influence in Latin and South America? So if we're concerned about regime change and things like that, they're not. They just walk in and do the regime change. And there's a number of socialist and communist countries down there. So how do you respond to that? That's where I think is the bigger war taking place.
But again, here's the idea.
Right.
Should we respond? Because according to Trump, we can bring in hundreds of thousands of Chinese citizens to be students here. So they're obviously not necessarily that much of an adversary. And we're sitting down with Russia to parse out making basically Ukraine a feudal state of Russia, in part because of business ventures that the U.S. and Russia will be able to do. So I disagree with the Trump administration looking at Russia and China as adversaries. I don't think the Trump administration wants to do anything about Russian influence or Chinese influence in those countries. As long as the Trump administration feels that there is money to be made, whatever that is, real estate, oil, etc., all cards are on the table. The idea about political adversaries and allies, I don't think happens inside the Trump administration. I think that it is transactional.
But help me understand why it doesn't happen in your mind, because you've given a strong defense of Ukrainian engagement in an effort to stop Russia.
Yeah.
But Russia's active in Latin and South America, and yet we shouldn't engage there?
Oh, no, we need to engage there. Yeah, I've never said that we shouldn't, but I disagree that missiles are going to be the most effective. Nor do I believe that regime change and going in there and surreptitiously assassinating their leader is going to work either. I just don't think that's the way that things have worked more times than not. And I think there are other economic ways that can help, that you bring them more into the fold economically. You bring them in. I mean, there's a whole series of things I think that you can get to. Venezuela is a particular mess, but I don't think it's one that we are going to solve saying that, as Frank did, the CIA needs to go in there and assassinate Maduro or else, or that we need to stop lobbing cruise missiles or send troops into there. I don't think that fixes the problem that you have in Latin America, either in Venezuela or with these socialist countries.
Cultural problem. All right.
No.
Feel free to join the conversation. 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's talk Mountain High Appliance. Friends, they're extending the Black Friday sale all the way till December 7th, happening right now at all their showrooms. Experience incredible savings on today's top brands. Save up to $4,400 on select KitchenAid appliance packages. And don't forget, their price match guarantee ensures you are getting the best deal. When you think appliances, think locally owned. Mountain High Appliance, open 7 days a week. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. are war crimes happening down in the Caribbean. Do you agree with what Pete Hegseth is doing? Do you think he should be punished for what he's doing? What about Trump in Venezuela? How about the Honduran president pardon that took place? Oh, my goodness. It's all happening in Latin and South America. And is this part of a bigger campaign down there? You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Venezuela. We're talking the targeting of the narco terrorists in the Caribbean and part of the Pacific Ocean. There's been 21 strikes. It's killed 80 people. This is the text message I don't quite understand. So the second strike that I guess took place, according to Suzanne, against one of the narco boats is murder. That the fact that we took a drone and we dropped a bomb and hit this narco terrorist boat, that's murder. I don't understand the left being so concerned about the life and the rights of these narco terrorists when we lose 100,000 Americans each year to fentanyl overdoses, many of which is coming from these Latin America countries. So why the concern so much on these narco terrorists and making sure that we treat them properly when they're killing 100,000 Americans? What about their lives? What about the families that have lost the lives to these drug overdoses? I just don't see the same frustration. But a narco terrorist? Oh, well, golly. Let's make sure he's treated well. Let's go to the phone lines. Tony Littleton. Good morning, Tony. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, good morning. My call is not really to try and sway a view in either direction. I just want to make sure that the facts are on the table, and we're talking about the same thing. Trump's attacks against Venezuela have been done under the pretenses that they are sending fentanyl to the U.S. To legitimize this, he's declared them a terrorist group, thus allowing them to be called combatants. And once they're combatants, they, so to speak, become fair game. So that's been his basic action. Now, the first fact is fentanyl doesn't come from there. The drugs that come out of there is principally coke, and that coke is on its way to Europe. It's not even coke for the U.S. Not that that makes it any better, but it's coke going to Europe. It's not fentanyl coming to America. Now the byproduct, the outcome of this, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't. The entity Five Eyes, you're familiar with Five Eyes and what that means? The group of 5 nations that share security, of which the UK is one of them. They have now ceased transmitting intelligence to us regarding that part of the world because they are concerned that they could be caught up in a war crimes issue. So they backed off. I'm sure there's some sharing, but they're being very deliberate and discreet about what they are sharing with us because they don't trust our use of that information. Secondly, the guy who runs Southern Command, I don't know what that title was, he resigned in protest to our actions in that part of the world. Now you've got Hegseth, according to this report, who said, kill them all. There were survivors, and now he blew them out of the water. That's what the report had said. He has changed his story a couple times, but now he's in full denial. Trump, over the weekend, had said he wasn't aware that Hegseth said that, 1. 2, he doesn't believe Hegseth said that. 3, if Hegseth said that, he doesn't agree with that. He is clearly being advised now, Trump, by attorneys, this isn't good. In addition, the Senate Armed Services Committee, headed by a Republican, has now opened an investigation of Hegseth and this whole thing going on in Venezuela, because they too are concerned about, are we breaking our own laws and are we breaking international laws? So Don't know how this is going to, I don't know how this is going to go down over the long haul, but basically he's cleaved. This action is starting to cleave the Republicans away from MAGA.
I'm not sure about that. But, Tony, help me understand this. This is what I see out of the left and Democrats with regards to, like, ICE and other immigration issues, right? They get really concerned. They go, good night. Look at what happened with those drone strikes to the narco-terrorists on the boats. We need to make sure we follow the laws.
We don't shoot people in the water. We don't shoot people in the water.
Meanwhile, Tony, we've had Tren de Aragua torturing people in Aurora.
I want to answer your question, so don't hang up.
I didn't see the deep concern with regards to immigration laws or following drug laws. We just had the two largest busts in Colorado history, one for meth, one for fentanyl. And I don't see progressives out there going, gosh, we need to make sure that our laws are really tight and they're not pouring drugs into our community. But when a narco-terrorist gets shot up in the Caribbean, then all of a sudden the laws become really, really important. Help me understand that dynamic.
I want to answer your question. You asked why. I want to answer the question. First of all, the title of terrorist is being used very liberally here by Donald Trump. One. They're not really terrorists. They're terrorists only for the purposes of making them combatants. Now, there's also been other survivors. There's been 2 other survivors that I'm aware of. And what did we do with them? We got them and then sent them back to their country. This was the shooting of these 2 survivors that we're talking about was, is my understanding, was the very first vote. And then Hegseth supposedly said, kill them all. Well, after that, since then, we have then had survivors, and we've sent them back to their countries.
But Tony, you haven't asked my question. You haven't answered my question. My question is, why are you?
We don't even know.
You're doing it right here. You're laying out the entire
I do want to answer your
law
question.
as to why it's so important to protect these narco-terrorists.
Don't just yell and hang up. I'm trying to answer your question. We don't even know for sure that they're drug dealers in each and every case. We are being told that there's zero due process. 2, we Americans, we don't shoot people in the water. That kind of went out with World War II. So we don't do that anymore. Now, Trump does that, but we don't do that. Not as a country, not as a nation. So that it can be troubling even to Republicans, not to MAGA, but apparently
Tony,
to
I
Republicans
just told
and
you we
independents.
had the largest drug bust in Colorado history last week.
And it was fentanyl. Again, fentanyl had nothing to do with Venezuela.
You didn't call to say, you know what,
Jeff,
we need to go after those drug dealers
Stay
and
on the
make
facts.
sure.
Stay on the facts at least. The fentanyl bust had absolutely nothing to do with Venezuela because fentanyl doesn't come out of Venezuela.
You're avoiding my question. Why
I'm not
are
avoiding
you
your question.
So,
You said,
Tony, you called in
you're asking
to
me
talk
why
about
I'm
the
not
rights
upset.
of narco-terrorists. Meanwhile, we have massive drug busts in Colorado. I don't hear you calling in
Jeff,
to talk about the laws that need to be followed with regards to them.
Do you want to talk facts or do you want to just go to your talking points?
Tony, you're ignoring my call or my question.
I'm not ignoring your question. You said we've had this big bust by narco terrorists up here in Colorado and caught all this fentanyl. None of that fentanyl came from Venezuela. So they're not the target. And it's also, I think, important for you to remember, almost 90% of the fentanyl comes right through the border security gates. It doesn't come across the border. It's not being packed across the border.
Tony,
90% of it's loaded on trucks and shit.
That progressives always side with criminals and always talk about the criminals' rights.
That's not. No, I'm glad they got the big bust. As a liberal, I'm happy about the huge bust of fentanyl. It's deadly. It's dangerous. It's terrible. It's the Chinese sending
Tony,
that
I've
product to
never heard
Mexico
you call
to be
in
processed
to talk
and
about
sent
how
here.
we need to take on these cartels even stronger.
You're not. That's if we're going to do that, our traditional method that would have given us some credibility would be, one, why don't we engage 2 or 3 countries from that part of the world, like Brazil and Mexico,
Tony, I care about dead
engage
narco
with
terrorists.
us.
I don't care about what other countries think about our credibility.
that, and then not having any discussion with Congress about it. This is a mistake. Well, I'm going to say a mistake. Trump's style is, in this case, may come back to bite him in the butt. Is all I'm saying. He didn't do what every other president would do.
That's
if you had this issue with
right.
Venezuela,
Tony,
you would gather our allies. Hey, by the way, one other point, you made that's I want to clarify. You talk about China's influence in
Correct.
South America, particularly China, more so than Russia. They're doing it through soft power. They're doing it through their Belt and Road initiatives. They're building ports. They're building rails.
I think they're a lot more
they're
active
creating
than just
jobs.
building airports. I think they're actively involved in turning a lot of these countries socialist. Tony, we got to run. I appreciate the call. All right, let's talk the gun room, folks. We got a new sponsor. Absolutely love working with them. Wayne at the gun room is fantastic. All right, we all know that the progressives out there are trying to shut down the gun shops in Colorado. They're going after law-abiding citizens. They're making it harder and harder. So that's why you got to support your local gun shops now more than ever. These are genuine Colorado people. They know firearms, they know safety, and they take the time to walk you through what's right for you. So whether you're new to shooting, looking to expand your collection, or want expert guidance from people who actually care, the gun room is the place. And ladies, with the holidays coming up, I'm going to make this really easy for you. If you've been wondering what to get your husband, dad, or the outdoorsman in your life, it's really simple. A gift card to the gun room is a home run. Trust me on this one. Stop in, browse their selection of new and used firearms, or just pick a few questions. They love helping people. Give them a call. They'll pick up the phone and talk you through anything. They're not going to, some of those gun shops are, if you're not a pro, they kind of make you feel bad. Not this case. They love helping people, especially new people, to the art of firearm ownership. So give them a call, 303-237-1300, 303-237-1300. It's the Gun Room in Lakewood. Check them out at denvergunroom.com, and be sure to tell them Jeff sent you. Go say hi to Wayne. He's a great guy there. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Venezuela. We're talking the targeting of narco boats in the Caribbean and the Pacific. And I find it fascinating that progressives always take the side against Trump. And so Trump has gotten Democrats to embrace criminals in the streets of our major cities, illegal immigrants, now narco terrorists. How dare you target them? They have rights. Meanwhile, these narco terrorists are killing 100,000 Americans, and I don't see the same passion about defending Americans. Let's go to the phone lines. Ralph, Colorado Springs. Good morning, Ralph. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I think Joseph Goebbels would love you. I have 3 points. First, we need to stop invading other countries. Second, every time we invade them, no matter whether it's, Vietnam and communism or weapons of mass destruction in Iraq or you name it, now it's drugs, we lose. I was born just after VJ Day. I have never seen the United States win a war. We have been the largest, the strongest, the most, how shall I say, technologically advanced military power in the world for 80 years. And every time we go on whatever the president says and we lose our ass and we pull out. Now, there is a way around this, and that's under the Constitution. And it's very simple. It says have a constitutional congressional declaration of war. If Trump wants to send troops or bomb or whatever in Venezuela or elsewhere, then get a declaration of war. I think John McCain said it best. He wanted to have a big concrete stone sign outside of the White House that said, first commit the nation, then commit the troops. Okay, we're bombing right now. We're going to send in the troops, I think. And haven't you seen this before? I mean, I saw it in Korea. I saw it in Vietnam. I saw it in Iraq. I saw it in Afghanistan. And I've seen it in minor wars like Somalia and various other places. We lose our ass. Well, actually, we don't. 99% of Americans sit here and watch 1% of Americans go fight. And my, how shall I say, take from this is very simple. If you are a red-blooded American and you want the drugs stopped, are you personally willing to sign up to serve, fight, bleed, and possibly die to stop them? Are you willing to have your kids do that? Are you willing to have your grandkids do that? Fine. Then bloviate. But otherwise, please shut up.
All right, Ralph, what should we do with narco terrorists killing 100,000 Americans a year?
Well, the question is really, why are American kids taking those drugs? And I think we need the problem is here at home. We are going, it's too easy to invade people. They're bad, they're bad, they're bad, they're bad. Okay, fine. My grandma had a saying, and that is, when you point a finger at someone, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. I think American parents are doing a terrible job. Let's talk about the real problem.
All right, Ralph. Colorado Springs.
Thanks, Ralph.
Thanks for
Appreciate
the call.
that.
Ralph's line is open if you want to give us a call. 303-696-1971. Did I say 100 million? 100,000. 100,000 Americans.
Yeah. The other part I get is
100,000 Americans dying from fentanyl.
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
And when have we decided that smuggling drugs is a capital offense? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, one pill can kill. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
710 CAN US.